guest today is Dennis Moss, singer-songwriter, but also a man who loves to travel, and he's going to be talking to us about what he's just about to embark on. So welcome to Cuppa TV, Dennis.
Thanks for inviting me.
So lovely to see you. And Dennis, you are a singer-songwriter, but you're doing this amazing thing. Tell us what you're going to be doing.
I have three passions in my life at the moment. I'm a big fan of the NFL, which is American football. I'm also a musician and I love to travel. So I'm going to go to all 31 NFL stadiums in one regular season, which is 17 weeks. And before anyone says anything, there is 32 teams, but two of them in New York, they share a stadium.
Right.
So I'm going to try my hardest to get to every one of those stadiums within 17 weeks.
Wow, so you're going to visit every stadium, and when are you going to do that? You're going to do that this side of this year? This year?
In 2 weeks' time, I leave for Boston on September the 8th.
Wonderful. Now, tell us why you're going to do that.
Many reasons. The first one's a personal thing because I love the NFL and it's a crazy idea I kind of devised.
Crazy ideas are always often the best ideas.
Well, I did a big tour a couple of years ago, starting in New York, and I finished in Brazil at the World Cup. And when I came home from that, I thought I had such a great time. I wanted to do another adventure. So this was one of the things that I had in mind, as I'm a big fan of the NFL. So here we are, 2 weeks away.
Excellent. And what are you actually going to be doing when you visit the stadiums?
I'm going to be watching the game for the obvious thing.
Yes.
I'm going to be I'm going to film everything. I'm going to put it on social media. I'm going to try to get some of the soundtrack to be my own songs. I've actually written a soundtrack song called Like a Touchdown that I'm trying to get the clubs to play in all of the stadiums, say half-time or on radio stations, just to give me a bit of publicity as a songwriter.
And you're going to be doing this raising money for prostate cancer, is that right?
Yes, I mean the tour's called the Wrong Shaped Balls Tour for two kind of different reasons. The first one's the obvious because of the shape of the football.
Yes.
We use a soccer ball, they don't. Secondly, a friend of mine, a good friend of mine named Kevin, was diagnosed with prostate cancer about 6 months ago. And as soon as he told me, the first thing I said to him was, "You've got the wrong shaped balls." And because of that, the first thing he said in return, he said, "That should be the name of your tour." So that is why I'm calling it the Wrong Shaped Balls Tour.
Absolutely. And I mean, prostate cancer has actually been in the news quite a lot recently. I'm calling on men, to be aware of it. And do you know much about it yourself, Dennis? Has that made you think about, your own health and what you're doing?
It does, because after my friend was diagnosed, I actually went for the test myself because I'm in my late 40s now, and I thought it's about time that I did it just in case. And what I want to highlight to a lot of people is that prostate cancer is the most common cancer for men. Fact. But also what's really important is if it's found early enough, it's quite easily cured. So what us men are like, we don't like to go to the doctors. However, the girls will go if they get a sore throat or a cough, if you like, whereas we won't. So I just want to kind of bring to the table the attention that if you are feeling any kind of symptoms, just get to your GP, get it checked out, because if you do, it can be found and it can be cured. And
presumably because your friend was diagnosed, this triggered really then the reaction, and this is why you decided to embark on this NFL.
Yeah.
So now that's a big thing you're doing. You couldn't just go around England. Why did you decide to do it in America?
Well, because the NFL is from the States.
Yes.
They're trying to get a team over here in London, and one of the places I'm going to be going is to watch a game is with a guy called Shad Khan, and Mr. Khan owns Fulham. So I sent them a little cheeky message to say, is there any chance of me watching a game with you? And believe it or not, they come back to me and said yes. So I'm actually watching a game with the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars in the Jacksonville Stadium on week 11.
Is that here in the UK?
No, this is in the States.
In the States?
In Jacksonville.
Wonderful.
So,
excellent. So people are already engaging with you.
They are. They certainly are.
Is that what you'd like to happen?
Definitely. One of the big things about my tour is I want to interact with the fans. That's really, really important. I'm going to be doing tailgating, which is like where you're outside the stadium before the game, where everyone's cooking burgers and barbecues and drinking beer and stuff. So I'm going to interact with people doing this. I'm going to be trying to hang out with fan clubs if I can. And one of the early things I was looking to do as well was to try and see a game with a famous person who supports each team.
Oh yes.
And I've done some crazy things of trying to contact these famous people that I know follow certain NFL teams. And I'll give you an example. The guy Bradley Cooper that's in the movie The Hangover, he's a huge fan of a team called the Philadelphia Eagles. And he's been doing a show in the West End. He's the Elephant Man. So I went to the back door and left a letter for him to for him
So
to
here
reply
I
to me and say,
am,
look,
yes.
are you going to come and watch a game with me? And sadly, he hasn't replied yet. But
might not have got
he
the
may
letter.
do.
But I mean, so you really are looking to, contact people
Yeah.
and engage with them. And when how are you doing all this yourself? You're going to fly out to America,
Yep.
and how are you going to get from each of the stadiums?
Completely independent. I've met a lot of people on social media at the moment, and my plan is always to do hostels, because you meet great people in hostels. And what you find in hostels is if you're going on to somewhere else, you normally bump into someone who's already been there, and they'll say, oh, go to this restaurant, or get this cheap food here, or do this while you're here in Boston, New York, Philadelphia, wherever. So, but there's another opportunity for me to do couch surfing, and that's
What's that called?
couch surfing.
Couch surfing.
What couch surfing is, it's a place where you join a kind of a website and you host people in your home. So if I go to places like New York or anywhere in the States, I go onto the website couch surfing and I'll find somebody that's looking to host somebody like me. So I'll just drop them an email and say, look, I'm coming over, I'm an English guy, I'm travelling around watching the NFL. Would it be possible for you to put me up for a couple of nights when I come to San Diego or Kansas? And I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that they say yes.
So yes. So you'll be doing that, and public transport, using public transport.
Well, most people say to me, why don't you drive? Well, first of all, I don't drive over here. Secondly, it's on the wrong side of the road. And I like travelling by buses and trains because it gives you that moment to reflect.
Maybe meet more people.
Yeah, you do meet. The hostels is the place where you meet so many good people. So, and it's a part of the process of engaging with the fans, and I like travelling by coach between destinations because it's a time for me to get the laptop out and do a lot of the stuff that I haven't really got the time for while I'm running around going to the stadiums and doing other things.
So it's exciting.
It is exciting.
Very exciting. So when do you go? You go?
I go 2 weeks tomorrow.
2 weeks tomorrow, and then how long is it going to take you to do all those games?
Well, 17 weeks is the standard set schedule of the NFL. I've got a couple of days where if it doesn't quite work out, I'm in a little bit of trouble because I'm trying to get from one place to the next, and there's a game the following day.
Oh, right.
And some of them are a little bit of a way apart by roads.
Yes. America's a huge country, of course.
Massive,
so yes.
massive. And basically the schedule that I've got, it took me probably 2 or 3 weeks to work out the route because I'm trying to get as close to each one as I can. But unfortunately, if one of the home teams, or one of the teams, say from New York to Boston, if one's at home, one's away, then I can't do them on the same kind of continuation. No. So I'm kind of zigzagging a few times. So unfortunately, I've got to do that because I've got to try out and work out a route that I can get to every stadium within those 17 weeks.
I was going to say, it seems important that you get to every game.
Oh, it is.
And then when you're there, are you going to be, talking to people? I mean, you said you're going to be on the gates and talking to people. What are you actually going to be doing? Are you going to be telling them, this is what you should be aware of? Are you going to be talking to them? What are you going to be doing?
One of the things I want to do, I want to highlight the fact that a London team would be great to come over here because I think it's on the fence at the moment, and I love American football because it's American, so I'm really 50-50. Do I want a London team to come? Yes, but the traditionalist in me, I'm not sure. See, I love it because it's an American game, so I want to kind of highlight that. And the guy that I'm meeting in the Jacksonville Jaguars, he is the man to be talking about with that because he's the guy who's looking to bring a franchise over to London. So that's one thing. The charity aspect, my music, which is important. I'm going to be in Nashville recording a new song.
And any particular charity you're supporting, or are you going to support many?
I think it's going to be many because I've been contacted on social media by quite a few, and it's all around the umbrella of the prostate cancer situation. Like, so it's Prostate Cancer UK or Men United. There is one in Dallas called Zero to Prostate, I think. But I need to kind of tie up some loose ends with the people before I fly out on the 8th.
You've got some research to do as well.
I do, yeah.
And as a singer-songwriter, you said you're going to go to You're going to go to Nashville and record a song. And what's the song called again? The
new song I'm going to do, it's somebody's telephone number. It's called 4573269. And it's about a girl who goes in a bar, sees a guy that she likes, he keeps looking over at her, and she tells him, this is my phone number, you better be quick before I change my mind. So it's a really, really catchy, typical Nashville country song.
And that's what you're going to be doing.
I'm going to do that.
So you're going to do that, record that there, and is that going to be kind of part of what you're doing with the NFL stadiums? Are you going to kind of use that as a platform, or you haven't really thought about that yet?
Not really, because I don't think country music really ties in with the NFL. The song that I have on my website is called Like a Touchdown, and that was written purposely for my tour. That song is about the way you feel when you're with somebody special, is how you feel when, if for example you like a football team or a rugby team, whoever, when the goal goes in, you feel that euphoria and you think. So I'm trying to kind of use it as a metaphor for that's how you feel when you're with your loved one, how you feel when that goal goes in. It's like, yeah! And it's a really great track. It's a catchy, up-tempo, rock, typical 80s kind of song. And I'm hoping to get it on the radio.
So that's going to be the one that's going to be, you know, as I say,
Yep.
music, you're going to be promoting it.
That's the soundtrack
and I
to my
was just
tour.
about to ask you, is that available to people to
It is. They can buy it on my
download?
web. They can go to my website, which is www.therongShapeballs.com.
Mm-hmm.
They can buy it for 99 cents or give me whatever they feel they think is worth. And I didn't want to go down the route of this to go get funding angle because I wanted to give something back. I didn't want to kind of do something and say to people, well, support me on this tour without giving them something back. So that was the plan, to try and help finance my tour, which is going to cost me a lot of money, to try and get back a little bit of the money that I've put in, and that was the original plan.
and raise some money, obviously, for your charities that
Yes,
you're,
and to
that
do
you're
that too.
supporting.
Yep.
And I mean, so this is good. So 17 weeks. This is going to be into next year.
Yeah.
This is
Well, I
going to be a long time here.
It is. The actual last game I'm actually going to be at
Yes.
is
When
on,
is the last
it's
game?
January the 3rd.
Right.
But after that is a thing called the playoffs.
Right.
So I'm still going to be there, and if my or our team, the Dallas
Yeah.
Cowboys, get into
Yes.
the playoffs, I'll be going back to Dallas or wherever I can.
Yeah.
If I'm kind of nearby, if they play in New York and I'm in San Francisco, then maybe I won't. But then it goes right through to the Super Bowl. And I'd like to be in America for the Super Bowl, because who knows, I might meet some influential people along the way, and they might say, well, look, we like this guy, you know, why don't you come to the Super Bowl with us? So I'm kind of hoping that will come out.
And what's your main aim for the whole of this? I mean, it's an exciting project that you've taken on, one that's hopefully going to raise lots of money for the charities you decide to donate to. But what was? I know that we spoke about the fact that it was your friend Kevin who initially gave you the idea. But what do you want to get at the end of this, Dennis? What would you like to see at the end happen?
First of all, I'm going to have the time of my life because I love American football, so it's going to be very, very enjoyable for me to zigzag across America watching all these amazing teams. Secondly, I'd like to promote my music, especially in Nashville, because I've recorded 3 songs there before, and I'm doing the next one there again. And I just love the country music in Nashville. I mean, people get this perception of country music's very kind of like Dolly Parton, very old school. Well, it's not. It's more towards rock music these days, and it's like a rock country crossover, and it's fantastic music, and I fell in love with it. So I'd like to get involved a bit more in Nashville with country music, and just have a good time, really.
Just have a good time. And as a singer-songwriter, you've been doing that for many years.
I wouldn't say I'm a singer-songwriter. I used to be in a rock band called Asbo, and we had a fantastic singer, and unfortunately he was from Venezuela, and his passport ran out, so he had to leave. And he was such a great singer, but I didn't want to give up the dream, so I became the singer of the band, and we kind of changed a little bit of a direction. We wasn't as kind of rock, we turned to more like rock pop. So do I sing? Yes. Am I a good singer? Not particularly. If I can find somebody better than me, I always will. But I enjoy singing. I'm not afraid to pick a guitar up if there's people around, it's a party or I'm in a bar. I'm not scared to do that. But am I a singer? The jury's out on that one.
So when you finish this wonderful 17-week epic journey that you're going to do, have you got something else in mind that we'd like to do?
And you're going to laugh when I say it.
Tell us.
And I'm going to have a holiday. The reason why...
Take a nice break.
I do. I think after the American football thing's all done, I might go to some wacky places like Alaska or Cuba, because I'm a big traveller and I'm an adventurer. So I think I will need a holiday, and it sounds crazy, but it's going to be really hard to do what I'm doing. Sometimes it's going to be amazing, but other times it's going to be quite difficult.
And you're going to be by yourself, aren't you?
I'm going to be by myself. But the thing about travelling alone, you never ever will. You're never on your own, because you just attract people. Being on your own, you just see other people that are single travellers, and you might be at the bus station going from one place to the next, and you end up sitting with some guy and you have a bit of banter and a connection, and then he might hang around you for a couple of days. Travelling alone is fantastic.
And when you're travelling and you meet lots of people, again, is that what kind of inspires you to keep doing that? Is that something you really, really like to do?
Definitely. I mean, I was in Brazil for the World Cup last year, and I met some of the most amazing people who are going to be my friends for life, all around the world, in Australia, Mexico, England, America, Canada. And just being around these other people that have got the same passions that you have is fantastic. And they really support me. I mean, on Facebook and Twitter, they're always saying, you know, good luck with your tour and I love your pictures. And yeah, it's fantastic meeting people when you travel.
So you're going to have a great time. Well, come back and join us again, Dennis.
I'd love to.
Tell us how you get on. I wish you every success with it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming in to talk about it today.
Thanks very
We're going to
much.
take a quick break now, so come back and join me again in just a minute. Welcome back to Cuppa TV. I'm now joined by John Rushton, our emotions expert, and we're going to be talking today about illness and the effect it can have on you. So John, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Monica.
John, let's talk about when people are ill and the effect it does have on their emotions. Would you say that there is, you know, is there a difference between a man and a woman? What's your thoughts on that?
I think the way they actually portray illness is slightly different, but it comes from the same place. If you are ill, you're ill. And I think, like everything in life, how you deal with life comes from up here. It doesn't come from anywhere else. It doesn't come from a magazine or your doctor or the hospital or some statistic. It comes from you. How you deal with it is a very personal thing. Some people who have a cold are dying every day, and some people who actually suffer horrific illnesses are joyful and ebullient and brilliant, and they smile and laugh because they've come to terms with it. And I think this is how you are in life per se.
Because I have some very inspirational people on my show, both
Yes.
male and female, you know, who've overcome enormous illnesses and difficulties in their life, you know, things like cancer, multiple sclerosis, suffering with dementia, and they always have a very positive outlook on life. Is it a personal thing? Is it just because the type of person you are will determine how you react to, say, if you were diagnosed with cancer or multiple sclerosis or Alzheimer's? Is it a personal thing of how you're going to react to that news?
What I've gleaned from sort of speaking to similar people over the years is there are two parts to it. There's if you know somebody who's suffering like that, you often wonder how you would cope if you were told you would have that kind of illness, which is a slightly different thing from actually being told you have that illness and then coming to terms with it. Quite often a lot of people have a little dip, which is quite understandable because they are thinking about it. It's a real realization of life, where you are, what you've done, what you would have liked to have done or what you can do, where you're going to go, all these kind of things, your family, your friends, your thought process, your world, where, you know, all the little funny things. Oh, I'd like to do this, I'd like to do that. Maybe you just can't anymore. Maybe it's just not going to materialize. Maybe you're going to have to reevaluate your life sort of mega time. And that takes a little time to sink in. But a lot of people I've actually come across who've been dealt with a very unfavourable hand have actually come to terms with it, and they've been very, very humble, and they've had a rather nice attitude towards life, as if they've accepted it. Well, this is the way it is, and I'm going to make the best of what time I have left, or I'm going to make the best of the situation I'm in. It's not perfect, but it's 100% better than nothing. And I actually want to do this because of the friends and family around me, and that four-letter word, love. You know, if love is there, you will do it. And you will get it reciprocated from your friends as well, because they will see you making an effort. And it's like everything in life, it's a two-way scenario. You put something in and you'll get something out. If you just take, you'll end up with nothing, because there'll be nothing to take.
I mean, there's things you said there, a positive attitude. There's a saying, isn't there? Positive
Yes.
mental attitude. Is that, would you say that's true? Would you agree with that statement, that a positive mental attitude will actually put you in better stand for life, for the whole of your life? Would you agree with that?
Definitely. I mean, statistically, if you have a negative attitude, your immune system is lowered between 10 to 15%.
Really?
Which means that you can actually get some little scratches and itches and twitches and tummy problems and bowel problems and all of these things you're constantly doing, because your immune system is just 1 degree below what it should be. And you go to your doctor and the doctor said, well, listen, I've done blood tests and swabs and everything, and you're okay. And it's psychosomatic. And the moment you change your attitude, click, you're okay again. And some people actually go through life having low-level flu symptoms, which never materializes into anything. And their life changes for the better, and all of a sudden their flu symptoms have gone. And they've changed immeasurably. And not only that, your outlook in life, how you see life, how you react with people, how people react with you, changes in relation to how you are. And positivity makes a world of difference. It's not just one of these theoretical things, oh, be positive,
yes,
it's good.
Lots of people say that,
yes,
don't they?
They
be
do.
positive,
yes.
you know.
And you think, well, yes, I'm hearing that all the time, but
Yes.
nothing's changed for me. But you know, when you say there's nothing changed for me, are you being positive? Are you waiting for that something to go, oh, positives hit me, I'm all right now? You know, you've got to do it. You've got to walk the walk, talk the talk, because positivity is a personal thing from you. It's not from outside in, it's from inside out. You can make the change. And so you've got to make that change wholeheartedly. And when it comes to an illness, so many people live longer, enjoy a better quality of life, enjoy everything that is good around them to a higher level if they're positive. And I mean, that's been proven. It's not just a theoretical thing.
No, there's been some scientific studies done on that, exactly that, to say that positivity, you know, is a good thing and you should always have a positive frame of mind. What is it like though if you just can't have a positive frame of mind for whatever reason, you know, but particularly linked to any illness? If you've been given and you just can't seem to get out of the depths of the fact, you know, you might have been diagnosed with cancer, for instance, and you know you might have only been given a few months to live. Some people react to that completely differently, won't they? Some people react in a positive way and say, well, I'm going to do everything I can. Other people will say, well, I don't want to do that. I'm going to just have this last time peaceful and quiet. How do you do that, John? And is there a right or wrong way for any of that sort of reaction to that sort of statement?
I don't think there's a right or wrong way, and I think it's a difficult move to make. I think a lot depends on you as a person, and a lot also depends on people around you. You tend to actually have people around you who are like you. So if you're positive, all you want around yourself are positive people, because negative people don't have a place in your life. Because negative people are emotional vampires. All they want to do is drain you for themselves. Oh, about me, my life, my this, oh, if you knew, if I can. You know, where does that go? It doesn't, this is all about the past. You know, life is about the future, and you're living the future now, today, for tomorrow. And this is what you do, regardless of your situation. Today is the base of tomorrow, where you're going to go. And so I think for negative people who get into a certain situation, and as you rightly said, some people are like that almost naturally, or they've been brought up into such a situation that they can't actually tear themselves away from it. It's just really difficult. It's down to your friends to actually pull you through. And I think they can pull you through.
I was going to say, if you are, if you like, a negative person,
yes.
Can you become a positive person?
Yes, you can. I've seen that as well. I've seen people just snap from one side to another because they've just had that realization that, wow, you know, if I do change that, life is better, people treat me better. And you see, if you are positive, you look at the good things, you look at the way out, you look at the exit sign to find something. If you're negative, you dwell on the negativity, you dwell on the problem. And if you dwell on the problem, you never see the solutions. You can't see them both together. People who are positive, entrepreneurs, people who are sort of creative people, always look at the positive side, because that is where the answer lies. That is where the future lies. That is where the excitement lies. Negative people dwell on the negative side of life, which is not going well. That's why they don't feel well, where they haven't got anything good to say, where it's always somebody else's problem, or they're not doing this, or they're unfortunate. Positive people never say that. Oh, to hell with it. Let's do this instead. And they have a laugh, and off they go. And this is just down to up here, nowhere else.
Is there any sort of tips you could give perhaps viewers that are watching this, you know, and finding themselves perhaps in a place where they perhaps don't want to be and they want to become more positive? Is there anything that you could say to them to encourage them to do that? Is there any mantras that they could use, John?
I think there are a load of things you can do, and I think it's horses for courses. What suits the individual can be different as chalk and cheese. It depends on you as a person, what you like, where you've come from, what you're looking for, or how you've been brought up, and all these kind of things. But I think literally looking on the bright side, and we've just mentioned that it's not always that easy, but looking at the bright side actually does make a world of difference. And if you actually go that way and follow that route, you will actually feel a difference, because other people will treat you differently, and you think, wow, the reciprocation of that's really quite warming, it's quite good.
So that could have a positive effect and maybe
Totally.
change that person's
Yes.
way of thinking almost.
Almost sort of crank it up, because if you're nicer with people around you and they reciprocate, that gets better, because the higher you, both of you go, or each party goes, the better it really, really does get.
And again, take it back to illness, you know, when somebody's poorly or seriously ill, is it always best to think, you know, right, I'm going to do this, be positive about that, take steps to change it or to make yourself well? That will have a beneficial effect on the illness that you have?
It does. I mean, statistically as well, they've done lots of tests on positively minded people and negatively minded people, and the positive people do get better far, far quicker. I mean, some get immeasurably better in next to no time. It's just because it's just a mindset. This is what they're doing. This is how they're going to go. There's no option. This is it. Because you respect yourself and you respect those around you as well. Because if you love those around you, you don't want to drag them into your little world. You want to actually get out of yours to join theirs, because their world is fine, it's better. And so you elevate yourself up. And you don't want to talk about the negative things, because the more you talk about negative things, the more you're actually hearing it. It's a strange thing, but you actually listen to what you say. And negative people only hear negative things, hence they regurgitate it time and time again. Positive people hear good things because they say good things, and it comes as feedback, and they think, oh, that's good, and it automatically elevates them, so they say even better things next time. And it really does make a world of difference. The more you talk on the positive aspect of life, the better life will be for yourself.
Really? So again, just keep continually being positive, really.
Yes, totally.
In whatever happens, with illness or whatever in your life,
yes,
that will have a better impact on your life as a whole.
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
What you're saying.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's an incredible subject, isn't it? And one that we could spend a lot more time talking about, John. But, you know, just to finish off, what one thing would you say to someone to try and encourage them to be positive every day?
Look for the good things in life. And there are all those people who will say straight away, oh, if I only I could. Well, hey, forget that. Look for them. They are there.
John, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you. That's it. We're going to take a quick break now, but come back and join me in just a minute. Back to Cuppa TV. I'm still here with Raj from Breaking the Silence. Raj, just before we went to break, we were talking about your incident, and you just told me that you'd been knocked out. So you were in your home.
Yeah.
You were on the floor.
Yeah.
What happened then?
So by then, my uncle's basically having a field day while my family are standing around watching. So nobody's really coming to my aid, but it's acceptable that he's beating me. Then the next thing I know, they've left me on the floor and they've all gone to the pub, as in the men. So I'm lying there on the floor now. My mum eventually says, get up and come back into the kitchen. So I managed to get up. It took me a while. I dragged myself into the kitchen, and she just said, you know, you should not answer back. And by then you learn to just go, okay, because there's nothing that's going to happen.
Had you done anything wrong at that point?
No. Other than just say, oh, it's just the leads come out the socket, that's all. And but by then you're used to it, and that's sad.
I was going to say, did it become normal for you? Did you feel that this was happening in every household?
Yeah.
Do you think this was normal behaviour?
Yeah. At least somebody in every household is going to experience what I'm experiencing. So it's okay. It's what happens in, and I just put it down to what happens in every Asian household. You know, Raj, deal with it. It's been going on long enough for you now to be able to be okay with it, and you accept it. So it becomes your identity, that if you don't get slapped about, if you don't get abused, then you're not doing something right. And that's messed up if your whole mindset is turned upside down and inside out. So what is technically wrong
becomes your right.
becomes your right. And that's a hard nut to crack. That's hard to break, is something that you've then instilled in your mind, and you've trained yourself to function in that way so that you live. So even though everyone's trying to kill you, you're surviving because you've turned it all around.
And during this time, were you educated? Did they
Yeah.
allow you to go to school
Yep.
and become educated?
Yeah, was in school as normal, would be timed to get there and back. So as soon as the bell was done, you would have to run home because I think I had 15 minutes to get home. So if I was later than 15 minutes, I would get beaten, or I'd have to explain what it was that I was late for. It'd have to be a good enough reason. So that became
Your norm,
Yeah.
really, your normal life.
Yeah.
So after that beating
Yeah.
and the visa being declined from your first arranged marriage, what happened then?
While my uncle was beating me, actually disclosed that I was gonna still get married to this
The same
child.
child.
Yes. Can't even call him an adult, he was a child. I was still gonna get married, but they were gonna take me to India, marry me off there and leave me there. And at that point I believed him. I knew that they would do that. So they took me back to their house in Birmingham, because at the time we were living in Warsaw, and they kept me there because I was battered and bruised. So anytime they beat me up too bad, I would go back to my uncle's house until I looked normal again, and then they would send me home. So after about a week or so, I think I stayed with them, week and a half. They sent me back home, and that's when I realised, you've got to get out. And by then I was working, and I went to work as normal, and then I just never came back home. And I left and I stayed at a friend's house.
And how old were you?
I was
How old were you
18.
18.
And she was also around my age, but she was Asian also. And I remember her calling her parents and just said, my friend Raj is coming to stay with us. And they were like, yep, that's fine. And I think that at that point, I started to question what was happening in my house, because here you've got an Asian girl who is having a complete different experience to what I'm having. And my family would never take a stray in. And they've taken me in, and not only have they taken me in, they're loving me just as much.
And they knew what you were going through
Yeah.
in your family?
Yep, so the police were coming to the house every day, and they were calling me, and look, your family are calling every day, just please, just meet them. Because by now it's nearly a month that I've stayed away from home. I'm enjoying the freedom.
Yes.
I'm enjoying going out and doing what I want to do, and there's no fear of who's going to come and invade me, who's going to come and beat me, who have I got to hide from. I'm free for the first time. Met my boyfriend at that time, and I'm enjoying being away from home, missing them, because in a messed up kind of way I loved them.
They're still your family.
They're my family, and that's all I know. So I'm enjoying it. Was a bittersweet time, enjoying being out, but this vacant feeling now in my life that I have no family.
Because you've been so used to the years of abuse,
Yeah.
it became the norm, as you
Yeah.
said. So coming away from that, you probably felt like a bit of fish out of water.
Yeah,
almost.
and it literally did. So I'm dabbling in everything and anything to try and fit into this new lifestyle that I now have, and not quite fitting because Raj isn't herself. And eventually I agreed with the police to meet my family, just to get them to stop calling. Met them at the police station, and you could just basically say they put on a show. My mum came in, my dad, and I think it was one of my cousins, and my mum's literally all over the floor like it's a funeral. So she's put on a show, and I'm kind of like, yeah, used to you by now. But it was my dad that got me. So my dad came and he threw himself at my feet and he started to cry. and actually tell me that he loved me. And now that was the first time I'd heard my dad say that he loved me.
And how did that make you feel?
I'd already packed my bags in my mind. I've already packed and I've moved back home. Because all my life, that's all I wanted, was to be Daddy's girl, trying to prove to him that I can be everything that he wants me to be. So by the time my dad's got off the floor,
You were ready to leave.
I'm done.
Did you go back?
I did. I went back home, and the day before I went home I had a call, and it was a warning not to come back home, being told that they'd planned how they were going to kill me because I'd dishonoured them. But I'm not hearing anything because my dad said he loved me, and nobody's going to tell me any different. And I went back home and I got my friends to call my house every day at different times when they knew I'd be at home, pretending to be the police, so that if they didn't get hold of me, they knew that they'd done something to me. And my friends faithfully did it for about a year.
Really?
They called my house every day. And because of that, my dad never touched me. He couldn't even swear at me. He didn't do anything. And you could see that pent-up anger that he had then, because now there's no let out. There's no punching bag. He literally can't do anything. So by then, my second attempted marriage came on the scene. And this time they got a guy that was a lot older, and from the UK. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. So by now I'm engaged, full-on engagement. Wedding plans are done, and 3 months before my wedding, my mum convinced me to get what she thought were the police to stop calling the house, because if my in-laws are coming to the house, it doesn't look good. If the police keep calling, how are they going to explain that? So I believed them, and there's nothing that they're going to do. 3 months before the wedding, invites have all gone out. There's no way they're going to touch me or harm me in any way. So reluctantly, my friends stopped. Within a couple of days of them stopping, I believe it was about a day of them stopping. Next thing I know, I'm in hospital. My dad beat me and nearly put a brick to my face. By then we'd bought a house next door, so we'd just knocked the wall through. And he decided, today I'm going to kill you. And he just said, I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. And I remember lying on the floor, and he's on top of me by now with this brick. And I see the brick, but I think what hurt most was the hatred that I saw in his eyes. And I remember lying there begging my dad at that point, kill me. I want to die. Please let me die. And by then I think my mum must have thought, oh my gosh, this girl's gone crazy. So my mum threw herself on me so that my dad wouldn't hurt me. But by then my mum had done more than enough to get my dad to that point of wanting to kill me. And I remember pushing my mum off, and I just said, listen, today you can watch your husband kill your daughter. I'm gone. I don't want to do this no more. And I believe I got to a point where the thought of getting up and brushing myself back off and standing smiling was too much work. I just couldn't do it one more time. And by then I'd given up. By then I think my dad had just gone crazy. It's like one of those horror movies. It's like he just got possessed, and he decided...
All the pent-up anger.
Yeah, because for a whole year he's not been able to do anything. And by then he's going crazy. My sister-in-law begged me, listen, if you love me, get up. And that's the only reason I got up. And I remember thinking, how am I going to get out of here alive? And then I just thought, phone, upstairs in my parents' room. So I'm running up the stairs by now, and it's like a herd following me, literally. Ran into my parents' bedroom, grabbed the phone, trying to dial 999. My mum grabbed the phone off me. How my mum got up them stairs so quick, I have no idea. So I don't even know how that happened. My mum's a big lady. So anyway, she got up. So she's trying to hold the door shut now. My dad's screaming mad. He's going to kill me, he's going to kill me. And by then I've grabbed the phone again, trying to dial for the police, and my mum pulled the phone out the socket. Next thing I know is, okay, Raj, you're going to have to get out of here. You've got two options. You either throw yourself out the window, which is going to hurt, and knowing my luck, I'll probably sprain an ankle. So I'm not doing that. And then the other thing was, we have swords called a Cuppa as Sikhs. and my parents had it behind the headboard. And in my head, I'm just grab the sword, pull it out of its cover and just kill yourself. Like, it'll be quick, it's sharp. You won't feel a thing, hopefully. And I'm convincing myself to just end it. And I remember grabbing the sword. By then, my mum had grabbed me. By then, my dad's broke the door down and he's literally, like Kung Fu movie, done a running dive on me and just started to punch me. And I'm unconscious by then. In and out of consciousness, my uncles have turned up, and then next thing I know, my mum and my uncle are trying to drown me in the bath. My dad's literally gone crazy, like he wants to kill me, and my body had gone into shock. And all I felt was like my nerves had just seized up and I'd gone tense. So I couldn't even bend my hands, I couldn't do anything, I couldn't even move. And thankfully, because of that, they couldn't get me in the bath, because I was
So you got
rigid.
into a spasm.
Yeah. So eventually my brother came and they'd locked the bathroom door because they'd said they were going to splash water on me because they thought I'd taken drugs, because they'd never seen what was happening to my body. So they just, yep, you know, she's taken something and that's why. So now we're going to beat her and ask her who her drug dealer is. So it just become a circus, literally. Eventually my sister-in-law begged them to call the paramedics. They're having a debate while I'm in and out of consciousness of whether they should call them. And then next thing I remember them going is, okay, yeah, we'll have to, because where would we hide the body now if she died? And that's the only reason they called the paramedics. So
You went into hospital.
yeah, went into hospital. Long story short of that, I managed to get out. And I left home, went into, a friend of mine had taken me to a police station. And then I got into the police station and told them what had happened. They'd taken pictures, wrote a report. Do you want to press charges? And I'm thinking, charges? Court? My parents locked up? No, I just want to get away.
So even after all that you've been through,
Yeah.
you were still protecting your parents.
Yeah, because they're all I have. They're all I've known. And as messed up as they were, I couldn't imagine them being locked up. But it was okay for them to nearly kill me. But at that time, I'm so afraid that they're going to come into the station and they would kill me. The police then put me in a battered women's home. And that was a shock to my system, because I didn't know where I was going, what the place would be like. I'd never even heard of a battered women's home. What is that? It doesn't even sound good. And then I remember being there, and it was quite early hours in the morning. I think by then it was about 2-3 o'clock in the morning. So everyone obviously sleeping, it's dark. I've got in there, and the lady that was there escorted me to my room, and I remember just sitting in this room and I just broke down, because that for me was, what have you just done? Because within minutes I'd just made myself an orphan. That's it. There's no way I could ever go back now. That door's closed. And that was hard, to know that I'm sitting here now as Raj with no identity, nobody to belong to, and I'm alone. And even though I had my boyfriend at the time, but it's not.
You had no family.
Yeah.
You felt you had no family.
Yeah, and that was really tough. So I was in and out of women's refuge. Family kept finding me. They'd handed my photo out to people. They'd paid people to look for me. And thankfully for me, every time I'd got somewhere, I'd always get a call from them first to say, we know where you are, come home. And I'd make my excuses, and then next thing you know, I'm moved. Literally felt like shipped off to the next place. And that kind of went on for a little while. Suicidal all my life, even when I left home, tried to commit suicide. I just couldn't cope with
And what was
life.
the turning point for you, Raj?
Wow. A turning point was definitely when my partner had introduced me to his friends. And most of his friends I didn't like. I didn't like them at all. But it was this one friend that he kept till last. And I never understood why. And he just said, right, you're going to meet one of my good friends, and he's Christian. And at that time I'm like, there's no way I'm meeting a Christian person, I'm not interested. And because I had this image of them with this big Bible and just beat you with it, you will repent. Yeah. And I was just, there's no way. And when I met him, that's when I felt this safe feeling that I'd never felt. And he introduced me and he went, right, you know, come over the weekend, meet my wife and my children. And I wasn't used to that. And these were, it was a Jamaican family. So the guys that I went out with were Jamaican. So I was used to them being homely and feeling good. I never trusted the guy that I was with, let alone this stranger. Went to their house, met the family, and the minute I met the guy's wife, she just ran over. Like, at that time you're thinking, okay, crazy woman, why is she running to me? And she just ran and hugged me. And I remember from when she hugged me, that was the first time I felt like I could trust someone. From after my grandfather passed away, never trusted anybody, never let anybody in.
Which is when you were very young, so
yeah.
that was a big thing.
Yeah, and all of a sudden it was like I felt I could tell her everything of my life, and I knew that I'd be okay. Not that I did tell her anything, but I knew that I was safe, and they'd invite me to church, and I'd feel that same peace that I felt in their house when I'd come to church. And I couldn't understand that feeling because I battled with that. I can't become a Christian because I'm a Sikh girl. I'm a proud Sikh girl. I've left home, so if my parents tomorrow decide to take me in, they're going to kill me twice over for being a Christian. So I would try and convert them to Sikhism. So there was a bit of this competition, I'm going to get you before you get me. But you can't fight what's there. You can't fight peace. You can't fight love that is just so transparent and it's so tangible that there was no, I couldn't talk that away. I couldn't try and twist that around and pull it inside out like I used to do with everything. And that's when I realised, you know what, there's something here. So church on a Sunday became a bit of a fix. So I'd live my life from a Monday to a Saturday doing what I did. And then I'd go to church on a Sunday, feel all good.
And it's changed your life around though, Raj.
Yeah,
it's changed your life around.
Yeah, I nearly committed suicide with the guy that I was with. He nearly killed me. Went manic like my dad did that day and nearly killed me. And I remember calling on every God I'd ever known and believed in and heard of, and by then I'm blacking out and my eyes had started to lock back, and I literally felt like my soul leaving my body.
Well, Raj, it's been an absolute pleasure to have
Thank
you.
you.
So thank you so much for coming back.
No, thank you for having me back.
Sharing your story. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Well deserved. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's it for today's show. I'd like to thank Raj and the band Ian for joining me today. And if you'd like to get in touch with us here at Cuppa TV, you can join us on Facebook or Twitter at Big Centre TV. We'd love to hear from you. Come back and join me again very soon. Bye-bye.